Caicos Islands. Welcome to the program, The Last Word. This is a 1-hour interview with our 5 at-large candidates. I will be asking them several questions, some from the manifesto, and others that I may have made up myself, and some that were hurled at them during the most recent and historic debates on television. I urge you to listen attentively to the answers that are given, as this is indeed the last time you will hear from these candidates. After that, you will see them at the polls. And I certainly hope that all of you throughout the length and breadth of the Turks and Caicos Islands will go on out and vote. I hope to see some of you there. I certainly will be exercising my God-given right to vote. Thank you, and see you at the polls. Mr. Mizik, there are numerous stalled projects throughout the islands, particularly hotels and the like. And as you do know, tourism is our #1 industry. As we talk about reviving this economy, what skills do you bring to the table? And how challenging you think this task will be, particularly in the first few years, once your party is successful in becoming the next government?
Well, these are challenging times, and I like to challenge. The truth of the matter is that you have to give to get. And if we're going to get these stall projects started, we have to create a menu of incentives that would make people want to buy them, or make the original investors want to find ways to invest further in them. At the moment, we're not getting anything from them being stalled. So we're not losing anything by providing additional incentive. In fact, we would be gaining new jobs, and we'd be gaining taxes from the importation of materials, and we would be gaining a number of new rooms from which we will benefit by new accommodation taxes and other government revenue. So the important thing is to see the end before the beginning, at the beginning. And the end that I see is that providing some incentive now can only benefit us in the next 18 to 20 months or 2 years, when the project would have been finished, and then we can hire a significant number of permanent employees. My skills are varied. I am probably uniquely qualified to focus on the economy. I have worked in government. I was the first chief finance minister of this country. I'm also a job creator. I've been in business for most of my life. I've created literally hundreds of jobs in the hospitality industry and in the real estate industry. And I have a whole network of people that I am constantly in touch with, who I can personally draw on to look at investing in this economy and getting these not only these stall projects started, but actually focusing on new projects, and not only on Providenciales, but also, more importantly, in some of the other islands, especially Grand Turk, because it's extremely important for us to broaden the tourism base in Grand Turk so that we can justify direct airline service into that island, if only once a week, and that is really where my emphasis will be on.
Mr. Garland, you have been a minister in a previous administration and deeply involved in tourism for some time. What are some of the great challenges you see that lie ahead for the industry here in Turks and Caicos Islands? And particularly so in the light that you've often heard it said, and it is true, development is useless if it's not for the people of the islands.
There are several challenges. The first being the major challenge is having personnel to work in the tourism and hospitality industry. I think the hospitality industry is still a virgin industry for us. and we're still trying to find people to gravitate towards the tourism and hospitality industry. So I think education in this industry will be first and foremost on the platform to get people to be able to serve in the industry. What we've seen over the years, particularly during my time, is that we had to import a lot of labor, particularly from the Caribbean, to come and assist us. And as you said, development is one thing, but if we don't have our people and we don't create opportunities for our people to serve this industry, then it's useless to us. So I think our number one challenge would be to get people to work more in this industry. Number two is the diversification of the industry. Currently, most of the tourism sector is primarily based in Providenciales. We have a lot of other beautiful islands that we need to promote as far as the tourism product is concerned. If you refer to our manifesto, we're talking about ecotourism, medical tourism, we're talking about marine tourism and yachting tourism, we're even talking about aviation tourism. These are great opportunities for us. If you look at the makeup of some of our sister islands, particularly North and Middle Caicos, there are great opportunities there for ecotourism. Grand Turk, for example, is another great opportunity to put another FBO there, where we can increase air traffic into Grand Turk. South Caicos, Soul Key, whale watching. Great opportunities there for whale watching in Soul Key to expand our tourism market in these islands. So I think the next challenge for us will be to make tourism Turks and Caicos as opposed to Providence.
Mr. Robinson, during the campaigns, a lot has been said about the two new hospitals and the deal with InterHealth Canada. A great deal has been said about national health insurance. From your perspective, what are some of the problems you see in the current health system, and what plans are there to remedy them to the benefit of the people in the Turks and Caicos Islands, particularly those who seem to fall between the gap, particularly if they are unemployed and then lose their coverage?
Mr. Hall, as you know, Team PNP at the time provided the build and the contract for the building of the hospitals. But when it came to the management of it going forward, we were not involved. The interim administration practically gutted a number of the safeguards that were in the contract that we had put in it. First and foremost, they did not institute the contract management team. That was very important to make sure that all the issues that were in it were dealt with. They failed to allow the renegotiation of the terms and conditions with respect to the loan and refinancing it. And they failed to put in place the health regulatory authority that was there to regularize all the health delivery systems within the Turks and Caicos Islands. As far as other things were concerned, particularly NHIP, and the services NHIP is supposed to provide for the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands, they too have been negligent. Because let's remember that 85% of the costs of running the healthcare system is supposed to be government's responsibility. NHIP was only responsible for 15% and for the management of that system. So when the government failed to put in place the necessary financial arrangement, things will go awry. As far as persons who lost their ability to have access to care because they were not working, that too was not in the original plan, because we say that the government is responsible for persons who are unemployed, because we want to make sure that people are employed throughout the country. There are three specific areas that we feel that we should be tackling, and we intend tackling once we are the government. First is to institute a review of the clinical services, and then we do a review or audit of the financial component. Additionally, we must make sure that persons get the type of services that they require, and we want to make sure that that is done through the institution of the work program and making sure that persons who are unemployed, persons who are underage, children, are part of the plan again, because we feel that that is nonsense to take those persons off the plan because the government is supposed to provide for those things.
Mr. Simons, you have spent a great deal of time in the legal profession, and I believe that this perhaps qualifies you to address some of the pertinent issues that affect this country in labor immigration, national security. First, I would like you to tell us what you see as some of the major problems that we face right now in terms of national security, the large numbers of undocumented workers that have been coming from time to time, and what plans you have to deal with the situation.
Mr. Hall, I believe that the major problem that we have at the moment, so far as immigration is concerned, is the enforcement of immigration laws in order to protect the belonging preferences that apply in the labor and employment markets. Every day I come across people who complain that they see foreigners going to work on work permits to have jobs which they believe that belongers are available and qualified to do. Now, as you know, the immigration law is written so that there is belonger preference. We intend to see that those preferences are enforced, and where there are loopholes, to fill those loopholes. So far as national security is concerned, the major threat is the influx. It used to be from time to time, now almost on a weekly basis, of undocumented immigrants, principally from our neighbor to the south. We have to, and we plan to ensure that TCIG resources are devoted to protecting our borders, and that we intend to press the British government to ensure that they carry out their responsibilities for the national security of the TCI. When I say press the British government, I mean press them wherever, in whichever forum that becomes necessary. And it may mean pressing them in the United Nations, in CARICOM, and in other international fora.
Dr. Ewing, the education of the people must be very, very high on any political agenda. And as I look through your party's manifesto, I do see a great deal of plans for that sector. During the past 3 years, like in so many other areas, there has been considerable neglect, deferred maintenance. Some of our schools are overcrowded. I know for a fact that the high school here now has over 1,000 students. The question is, what are your plans for the education sector? And I wouldn't mind if you go from, if you wish, the kindergarten level, primary, high school, on to the tertiary level. A great deal has been said about our community college, and sometimes the criticisms, I think, in education are a bit unfair. But nevertheless, please tell us what your plans are for this vital sector.
Mr. Hall, I certainly agree with you that education is on the top of the agenda of the Progressive National Party. Starting from when we take office on November 10th, we will be putting together several workshops, engaging all of the education stakeholders in Turks and Caicos Islands, both in the private and public sector, so that we can chart the course and re-looking at our curriculum, re-looking at our infrastructure, so that we can then create new education policies, that our educational curriculum could be in sync with our national development plans in a diversified and growing economy. But going back, we will take this all the way back to early childhood education, whereby we will be focusing on expanding our early childhood education programs so we can make sure that no child is truly not left behind. We will be specifically focusing on kids with disabilities, with special needs, input the infrastructure as well as the manpower, human resources, and financial resources in this particular area to ensure that the needs of those special kids are looked after. But not only special kids, but gifted kids, because we need to be able to identify kids with certain gifts and talents that we need to be nurtured, whether or not those talents are in music or the visual and performing arts, or whether or not those talents are in drama. We need to identify them very early, at a very early stage in early childhood education, and stream those kids and nurture their talents. We will then look at the space, or inadequate space within our school system, both at the primary school levels and secondary school levels, and also at the tertiary school level. So we will be looking at these inadequate spaces. So we are committed to building a new primary school in Providenciales, a new high school in Providenciales, expanding the community college or remodeling the community college in Granta, creating dormitories, as well as creating a college park within Providenciales, which the community college will be housed. We will also be looking at and focusing on technical education to ensure that those children coming out of high school will have the opportunity to engage in technical education that are meaningful, adding with a degree, a certificate, and then on to the high school, onto the community college level. So these are areas that we'll be focusing on as a government to ensure that our people are truly empowered to take up their rightful place with jobs, with top jobs, the rightful place in owning businesses, and the rightful place in becoming leaders in Turks and Caicos. And that is what we hope our education system will be catering to.
And now we'll take a commercial break.
They say example is leadership. That in essence defines Rufus Ewing. His humble upbringing in the seaside community of Blue Hills Providenciales helped to mold that unshakable spirit of dedication and perseverance that would lead him to pursue a medical career and eventually return home as a servant to the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands. As a qualified general surgeon and physician, Rufus has distinguished himself as an administrator and as a policymaker, pioneering the development of healthcare for the Turks and Caicos Islanders. He played an integral part in restructuring healthcare for the TCI, and his continued efforts once elected will ensure that healthcare will be delivered as it was intended. In recent times, he has chosen to be a voice for the helpless, standing against discrimination, injustice, and victimization of our people. He will keep standing up for you. Vote Dr. Rufus Ewing for the next Premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands.
You should vote PNP all the way!
Hi, I'm Carlos Simons, QC, Deputy Leader of the PNP and an All-Islands candidate. Under Dr. Ewing's and my leadership, a PNP government will improve our educational system, revive and diversify our economy, and we will ensure that everyone has access to quality, affordable health care. Give us your vote on November 9, and we will deliver a better life for you in the new day that will dawn on November 10.
We have heard a lot about diversifying the economy. The other side talks about diversifying the economy also, but of course, very little specifics have been given. How do you see this taking place in the Turks and Caicos Islands, considering our limited natural resources, our small population?
Well, I think there's diversification and there's growth. We can grow the economy based on what we've got now, and then we can diversify the economy. I think in the short term, we will focus on growing what we've got now. This is a tourism destination. Tourism is our main product, and I think it's important for us to grow tourism by including new components or new tourism models. And by that I mean it is extremely important for us to look solidly at how we can attract European plan hotels in the islands, but also to look at other models such as fractional ownership and other vacation clubs. But also, from a tourism point of view, we can diversify the economy by focusing on niche markets such as medical tourism, sports tourism, and business tourism. These are all areas in the tourism sector that we can use to diversify the economy. We have to promote the financial services industry. We have to find ways to get back as a solid, cutting-edge player in the financial services industry. And the way we do this is coming up with new products and then promoting those products. We also have to look at ways of spreading investments through the islands, development through the islands, by putting in infrastructure throughout the Caicos Islands and make it easy for investors to go not only to Providenciales, but to North Caicos and to Middle Caicos. And so these are ways that we believe, things that we can do to diversify the economy.
Mr. Mizik, thank you ever so much. Mr. Garland, at the moment, the vast majority of our tourists come here from North America. China is a growing country and with considerable wealth. Their Latin American markets do provide a great deal of potential. Are there any plans on the part of your party to widen the field where we attract tourists? And could you tell us what are some of these plans to grow the industry in the Turks and Caicos Islands?
China, particularly, is one of the fastest growing markets in the world, even more so from an investment standpoint as opposed to a tourism standpoint. But South America, which is much more closer to us, it's a great opportunity for us to tap into. I remember years ago, when we were in government previously, we had already initiated contacts with starting to work the South American market, particularly in Brazil and Argentina. One of the things that it does for us is that we have contrasting weather patterns. So when it is winter, there is summer here. So it's a great opportunity to bridge the summer market so we can have a vibrant tourist economy throughout the year. The Chinese market, I think that's something that we can look to and we plan to look to in the future. We've already initiated contacts there as well with wholesalers and travel agents. But of course, we'll have to start to work on airlift that will make it easier for the Chinese market to get here. So I think those will be one of the biggest challenges for us in tapping into the Chinese market. But like I said, I think that the South American market will be most comfortable for us now, and we will definitely tap into the South American market. But not only the South American market, but also we can continue to concentrate our efforts in the European market. I think one of the reasons for extending the runway was so that we can get direct airlift out of the European markets directly into Turks and Caicos. Because these tourists, they come, they spend a little bit more, and they stay a little bit longer. So we'll be looking to expand our European market significantly, just to offset the American market.
Mr. Garland, thank you ever so much. For the past 3 years, we have seen scandalous shortage of medical supplies and basic things that are needed to operate primary health care. As you know, this is extremely important in the light that you can prevent a number of things that would need tertiary health care if you have a proper system of primary health care. What are your plans, and when I say that, the plans of your party when in government, to address this particular sector that the interim administration has been very negligent in?
Mr. Hall, we must first address the amount of finances that are available to primary health care. When we were in government previously, $4 million were allocated to that sector. The interim administration has cut that down to just over $1 million. We say that in each of the major islands, that the primary health clinics should be there for the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands. those are things that will happen. We have to make sure that those clinics are connected by telemedicine to either Providenciales or the grantor to make sure that the things that are there, because we understand and we know that if you spend $2 on primary health care, that will save you $20,000 on tertiary care sometime later down the line. So we say we'll put in place those measures to make sure that that happens.
Mr. Robinson, thanks very much. In your party's manifesto, I see that you have outlined a very ambitious agenda to grow this economy. But if you were to succeed on just even a portion of those that you've mentioned, it's going to require a significant boost in the population. How do you plan to achieve that? And do you support a quota system, say from the different islands, as opposed to having a preponderance of Chinese or Filipinos, like many Turks and Caicos Islands were somewhat opposed to the last time round?
Mr. Hall, the immigration policy of our PNP government when we take office on November 10 will be based upon 3 guiding principles. The first and overriding principle will be the protection and empowerment of the Belonga population. The second overriding principle will be economic growth. And the third will be border control and protection. Now, what does Belonga empowerment and protection mean in that circumstance? It means this, that we will ensure that the Belonga population of this country are employed first and foremost above all others. And that where they do not possess the skills to take on the jobs that are available, we train them to acquire those skills. Economic growth in this situation, as you rightly point out, will require growth in the population. Again, Belonga protection comes into this, because in growing the population, which we will have to import skills, we have to import people, we have to create a larger economy, and you can only do that with people. However, that does not mean that we have to allow people to remain and acquire citizenship rights. It is important that the Belonga population of the country feel as though they have the control of the political processes of the islands. And in the face of a growing expatriate population, the only way to retain that, of course, is to protect the right to vote and control the political processes. We intend to do that. However, we intend to deliver for our people a higher standard of living than they enjoy today. We intend to deliver for our children a higher standard of living than their parents enjoyed. That is the way progress is measured. This is a party that intends to deliver progress.
Mr. Simons, I want to thank you very much. A cursory glance at the staffing of our schools and institutions would reveal a disproportionately high number of expatriates versus the locals. At the primary level in particular, while I salute our women folk, there is a dire need of attracting male figures. Many of our primary schools, that's just about absent. And as I said earlier, at the high school level, the vast majority of the staff are contract officers from overseas. What do you see as some of the things you can do to address that problem and also to attract and retain male figures in the education system?
Yes, Mr. Hall. The deficiency in the number of local teachers within our education system has been something that we've been plaguing our education system for years. And this will be a priority with our next government to ensure that our local teachers view the teaching profession as a lucrative profession. We will be engaging students from the very early stages in high school, identifying students with those capacity and the inclination towards teaching. We'll nurture their talents. Those students within the community college and nurture their talents to try to stream them into the teaching profession. We will also provide incentives such as a good salary to ensure that the teaching profession is on the top of the pay scales in most of the professions you'll find within government. We will then provide additional incentives that they can feel comfortable as teachers. Incentives such as proper housing, incentives such as housing allowances, incentives such as appreciation awards, so that we can appreciate the work of our teachers. We will then move further into ensuring that there's proper succession planning and there is scope for upward mobility within our education system. So with these measures in place, we will ensure that our teachers, our local teachers, will view the teaching profession as one that is lucrative, one that is appreciative, and one of which there is great value. And this is what your Progressive National Party government will be looking forward to doing. And as part of our education review and workshops that we'll be putting in place very shortly upon taking office, we'll be looking at the various factors or reasons why males are reluctant to come into the teaching profession, because we'll target those individuals specifically. In addition to all of the incentives that we just mentioned, we'll be looking at to see that this is a male-oriented career, because we have a number of students that require male role models, male guidance, and so that is top on our agenda to attract males into the teaching profession like it used to be in the past.
Thanks, Dr. Ewing, for that response. And now we'll take a commercial break.
My name is Charles Washington Mizik. Most of you know me as Washi, and I approve this message. I believe that for those persons who are putting in a full 40-hour week, their wage should be able to support reasonable shelter, a balanced diet, good education for their children, and health care. And the living wage should be something that is looked at on a regular basis and should move in tandem with the cost of living index. In 1991, we had a situation, we have 80-year-old men working in the Public Works Department. They were working because they had no other source of income. They had to continue to get up every morning and go to work. I knew in my heart that the introduction of national insurance was a good thing, and so despite the opposition at the time, I pushed on with it. My name is Charles Washington Mizik. Most of you know me as Washi, and I approve this message.
Now, I have taken the time to match up the candidates in this election, particularly the 5 at-large candidates. And I have compared the leader of the PNP, Dr. Rufus Ewing, with the leader of the PDM, Mr. Oswald Skippings. I have compared the deputy leader of the PNP, Mr. Carlos Simons, with Charlene Cartwright, the deputy leader of the PDM. I've gone on to compare Charles Washington Mizik, a former chief minister, with Mr. Derek Taylor of the PDM, a former chief minister. I have compared Mr. Royal Robinson, a former deputy chief minister, minister of finance, with Mr. Samuel Harvey, also a former deputy chief minister under the PDM administration. And I have compared Mr. Garland with Ms. Josephine Connolly of the PDM. I don't necessarily want to share my observations, but I am sure you, the public, can see for yourself what that comparison is. I have also looked carefully at the 2 manifestos, and in particular, this one here, the PNP manifesto, which I highly recommend. And when I look at the other manifesto, quite frankly, and I've seen many, many manifestos, but that's the first one that I saw, spent considerable time mentioning and talking about their opponents, as opposed to their plans. But gentlemen, the question that I have right now for you, Dr. Ewing, and I say this against a background as a fresh face out there, the new leader of the PNP. I see history in the making. We have had several chief ministers and 2 premiers. They came from around the islands. It seems to me this is the first opportunity for a premier to come from the island of Providenciales. How confident are you with this team that you have selected going forward in this next election?
Well, Mr. Hall, first of all, yes, I do recognize, and most persons do recognize, that I hail from the island of Providenciales, specifically the settlement of Blue Hills. And whilst that is really not so important to me as the premier, I know it's important to a number of individuals within my community, my constituency, because I do see myself as a true Turks and Caicos Islander. I've had the opportunity to live to the length and breadth of Turks and Caicos, from Grand Turk in Good Street, where I spent most of my formative years in high school, and connect with the people there in that community, and all the way down to Provo and Blue Hills. So I see myself a true Turks and Caicos Islander. But yes, I'm proud to and honored to, and I do have the confidence that I will be the next premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands from the community of Blue Hills. When I say that, because this team that we have here on the PNP is an awesome team. It's a team with vision, persons with experience, persons with knowledge and relative experience, and we work together as a team. And it is displayed even through this campaign season right now, and the way we go ahead and do things, and we do things properly. The team that pays attention to details, and that is also very, very important in governance. And I wouldn't just talk about the other team, but I'm talking about this team. I'm confident that we have the team that will take us through to this election come November 9th.
There are 15 of you, 15 PDMs, and I think 5 PPP. Any one of you. In this situation, and bearing in mind, in the last general elections in 2007, the results were 13-2. Do you see that happening again? Because many are saying this one will be closely fought. What is your confidence level?
Well, if I can take a stab at that, Mr. Hall, I put it this way. We are very confident of winning this next election on November 9. We recognize that the margins of victory in 2007 were quite substantial. We don't say that we are going to meet those margins on this occasion. However, as we have campaigned throughout the islands, we have no doubt that we will win our constituency seats by comfortable margins, and that of the 15 seats in the House of Assembly, we will win 13 of those 15 seats.
There are some members of the electorate who, bearing in mind the 3 years of the interim administration, the changes to the Constitution, there are some of them who feel like it's useless me going to vote because the next government isn't going to have any real power. What do you say to those persons?
I will say to those persons that this government will have lots of power. Because over the last 3 years, we have had an electorate that has become educated, sensitized, and they are now, they will lead, and they will give us the power that we require to get the administration to do, to get us to do what we need to do. Because we will have the people behind an elected government. Before, the people riled up, but we had no elected government to help them fight. But now we have an elected government with the people behind that elected government to help you push through your agenda. I mean, I don't know if anyone else see it that way, but
I totally agree with it. I mean, obviously, there are going to be some challenges. We're going to have some battles that we're going to fight. We're prepared to do that, whatever it takes. I mean, there are going to be some legislations that we're going to have to repeal, and we're going to do that, regardless of whatever it takes. I mean, once the people elected, once you're elected by the will of the people, unlike the current administration being selected, we got the people behind us, and we will fight for them. We will do whatever is necessary to make sure Turks and Caicos Islands is back to the people.
The franchise is a right that people have fought and died for all over the world. Luckily for us, we have not had to fight that battle in that way. But we have struggled under a harsh interim direct rule British administration for the last 3.5 years. And it would be irresponsible of any Turks and Caicos Islander who has the right to vote not to go to the polls and exercise that franchise that is so sacred and so precious, and for which so much blood has been spilled around the world. So I would encourage everyone to exercise that right. And the other thing I will say is this: although this team is confident of victory on November 9, I want to urge that victory can only occur if our PNP supporters and those independents who like our plan and our team, that victory can only occur if those people turn up at the polls and actually mark those X's for us. Please do that. Do not assume that, oh, we're going to win, so it doesn't matter if I don't go to the polls. It does matter. Go to the polls, give us those X's.
It is very, very important that people do that. But we know that there's going to be a very, very big challenge ahead for us. But I think with the team that we have assembled, we have the oomph to deal with it. Because we have the only person that hasn't been directly involved, I mean, as an elected person in government, from our 5 at-large candidates, is our leader. But our leader is a consummate professional. He gets the job done. He knows the issues because he worked in government at a very senior level. So he understands what the issues are. And as I say, he's a quick learner. So we have a team leader that is equal to the task. And he has a number of team members that are equal to the task. Because I always say, and particularly at this juncture in our development, that persons who are not prepared for a fight with the British, stay home on your mom's bed and go sleep. Because it is important to know that from day one, it's going to be a fight.
That's correct.
So we have to fight and understand, because we have to put the people's perspective in the mix. And I was heartened by part of the message that I got from church today. Yeah. Living in the land that we cannot sing and enjoy. And this is what's happening. And the preacher put it in 3 areas. 1, living under the Constitution. 2, living with that equality bill. And 3, living under that. And those are 3 issues that we say that we are prepared to fight for on behalf of the people of Turks and Caicos Islands once we are given that opportunity. And you, the people of Turks and Caicos Islands, have to give us that opportunity, because we see it no other way than we are the team that can do it. Don't mind the noise in the market on the other side. Let's stick to the price of the beef with this side.
I'd just like to say that it is extremely important that everyone vote. It is extremely important that the Progressive National Party win by a landslide. because the stronger, the larger the margin of victory, the stronger the voice is going to be. And I would like to send a message to His Imperial Majesty Rick Todd that the voice of the people is the voice of God. And once we have won the election, it is going to be extremely important that he listen to the voice of the people. And I do not intend to back down from a fight. They have had the opportunity and they have screwed it up, and it is going to be very important for us to terminate some of the bad policies that they have made, and it is our intention to empower our people. They came here with a kid, like a kid with a hammer, and everything they saw that would empower our people, they have put a nail in it. But we're going to take that nail out, and we are going to go to work for our people. That, and I say that regardless to political conviction of those people who may or may not vote for us. I think the existence of the PPP is no accident. I think that's a grand plan by the British to try to force a coalition government, and that is not going to happen.
And now we'll go to a commercial break, and when we return, we'll have closing statements from all the large candidates.
My name is Wayne Garland. I am an all-island candidate for the PNP. Once again, I'm asking for your vote for me to serve you for another electoral term. A PNP government will restore our country to the days of high employment, inward investment, robust tourism and financial sectors, and scholarships for all deserving students, relief for hurting families, and a clean environment for our children. My fellow Turks and Caicos Islanders, I am a son of the soil. I am a man that has always and will always be here for you. Vote for me, PNP, full speed ahead.
My fellow Turks and Caicos Islanders, my name is Royal Robinson, your all-island candidate for the Progressive National Party. Throughout my career in the public and private sectors, I have been known for my work ethic and as a no-nonsense person. Having lived or worked on every island in the Turks and Caicos Islands, I understand your issues and feel your pain. This election is about your welfare and the future of your children and grandchildren, just like mine. We all have a stake in this outcome. So come November 9th, vote for Royal Robinson, vote for Team PNP, and vote for the dawn of a new day.
Charles Washington Missick, former Chief Minister, Minister for Finance, and Minister for Tourism. Many of you know me as Washi. I am one of you. I grew up poor just like you, and I believe that qualifies me uniquely to represent you. I have said over and over again that these elections must be about ideas. Small minds criticize. The other side has tried to demonize and demagogue their ways through this election. We have pointed to our record as a party. As a party, we have built institutions, and we will continue to build institutions so that we can protect our people. That is what we are all about. On November 9, when you go to the polls, it is extremely important that you vote overwhelmingly for the Progressive National Party. You have to send a strong message to the British, and we have to send a strong message to those people who invited the British here. Again, our ideals as a people should hold us together in time of triumph and in time of tragedy. Never again should we allow those who do not share our ideals to divide us as a people. I promise you, as a consensus builder, you send me to Grand Turk along with my colleagues to represent you, that we would make sure that whatever we do goes toward uniting us as a people and delivering the bacon for you. Our job is to deliver for you. I am a hard-working man. We've all either worked professionally or created businesses, and we know how to exercise our own initiative in order to deliver for you. And we will do that when the dawn of this new day starts on November 10th, 2012. God bless you and God bless our Turks and Caicos Islands.
My name is Wayne Major Garden, and I'm an all-island candidate with the PNP party. I've always had a passion for service, centered around caring, humility, transparency, and a people's first approach. In this upcoming election, tomorrow, I'm asking you to vote for me, your candidate, Wayne Garland. Secondly, I've aligned myself with a group of men and women of great moral standards and discipline who have the plan to take this country forward. Over the last 8 weeks, you've had the chance to view all parties, the PNP, the PDM, and the PPP. You've had a chance to look at the manifestos of the PDM and the PNP. While their manifesto is centered around criticizing and labeling us, our manifesto is centered around a plan for you, the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands, from education to job creation to health care, and to creating a better standard of living for you, the people of these great Turks and Caicos Islands. So I'm asking you, tomorrow, when you go to the polls, to vote straight down the line, all the shells, for us, the PNP candidates, to make your lives better, to the dawn of a new day, on the 10th of November. Thank you very much.
My fellow Turks and Caicos Islanders, my name is Royal Robinson. Many of you call me Cookie. But ladies and gentlemen, you know that I've never run away from a fight. And in this election, and in governing of our country in the next few days, the next few months, and next few years, we are going to be in for a fight. I have been single-handedly carrying the fight to the British government in this country over the last 3 years, because I felt quite strongly that the policies and programs and the legislation that they are being put in place were totally against what we use to be as Turks and Caicos Islanders. And we have to stop it. We say we're going to stop it now. The bucks are going to stop with us as Turks and Caicos Islanders. And I think, and I know that the team that we have assembled, that under our leader, Dr. Rufus Joyner, we have a team that can do the job for and on behalf of the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands. So we say, send us to work. Send us to work for you in Grand Turk. Send us to work for you so that we can ensure the things that you need to happen, things that are in your best interest, that should happen for you, the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands, happen. So we say, come tomorrow, come November 9th. We want you to vote for us resoundingly from Grand Turk all the way to West Caicos, because we want to send a strong, clear, and concise message to these people who have invaded our country, that we are not going to stand up for that anymore. We are not going to sit idly by and let them take advantage of our people. And we say, vote for us. The shell is there and the name is there. Make sure that you vote for us, all 5 at-large candidates and all 10 constituency candidates. We want to vote resoundingly, as I say. Give them that strong TCI message that we are not going to put up with their nonsense anymore. So thank you and have a good day.
I'm Carl Simons QC, Deputy Leader of the Progressive National Party and an All-Irelands candidate for the party in the general elections tomorrow. I wish to say how very pleased I am to have the opportunity to serve you again as a member of the House of Assembly. I have enjoyed the campaign. I have made many new friends, and I have renewed many old acquaintances. I am sorry that I have not had the opportunity to shake each of your hands, to look each of you in the eye. But take this message as my commitment to your future and the future of your children and your children's children and of our beloved country. I will do my very best to improve the quality of your lives in every way possible. And usually, when I do my best, that's usually good enough. Go out tomorrow, vote for me, vote for the leader of our party, and vote for each and every one of the PNP candidates against every name next to a shell marking X. And on November 10, the day after tomorrow, this PNP team will deliver the promises that we have made on the campaign trail in interviews like this, and most importantly, in that document, the plan for prosperity, which is our manifesto. Thank you, and may God bless you.
I am Dr. Rufus Ewing, leader of the Progressive National Party. I'm an all-island candidate in this upcoming election tomorrow, November 9th. It is very important that you, the voters, in Turks throughout the length and breadth of Turks and Caicos, come out tomorrow and exercise your democratic and constitutional right to vote. I would impress upon you that when you're going into that polling station, that you must think about Progressive National Party, as this is the party that has been here for you in the past. This is the party that has the team, the candidates, with the vision, with the experience, with the skill to implement the plans that we outlined so clearly in our manifesto. This is the party that has your interests at heart, that has your children's interests at heart, and we'll be looking out for your future, for a brighter future here in Turks and Caicos. So tomorrow is a very important day. Tomorrow is E-Day. Tomorrow is the day that we have been waiting for. So we'd like for you to exercise that right to vote and vote resoundingly for every PNP candidate whose name will be next to a conch shell on a ballot that's placed in front of you tomorrow. This is important. This is the single most important decision in your life. And please, make that informed choice. Vote PNP.
Well, we have come to the end of the last word, and I want to thank all of our participants, Party Leader Dr. Rufus Ewing, Deputy Leader Mr. Carlos Simons, Mr. Washington Mizik, Mr. Royal Robinson, and Mr. Wayne Garland, our 5 all-island candidates. I want to thank our listening and viewing audience, and I want to urge every one of you, wherever you are, to make sure go out and exercise that right you have to vote. Have your say, I beg you. May God bless all of you and bless these Turks and Caicos Islands. And that is indeed the last word.
Now I spread my wings, I'm going higher now, yeah. And there's no time to think, there's no time to blink. We gotta make it somehow. I'm going forward.